Hello everyone, my name is Mario Tiozzo and I'm the Data Analysis and Visualization Librarian here at UNB Libraries. Today we're going to go over a basic overview of Microsoft Excel. Excel can be a very complex and intricate software program, but here we will scratch the surface and get you going and hopefully set you up for future exploration of what Excel can do for you. First things first, let's make sure that you all have Excel. Microsoft Office, which includes Excel, is available to all UNB students for free. To download it, simply go to the URL unbcloud.sharepoint.com/sites/ITS self-serve. Don't worry, I'll put the URL in the notes of this video as well. Here you would go to the student section. Unfortunately, I don't have access to that, so I'm going to go to the faculty section to show you. You'll notice that we have Apple or Mac operating systems and Windows 10 operating systems. Since I'm using a PC, I will go to the Windows 10 and select Microsoft Office here and follow the prompts. The Microsoft Office suite includes more than just Excel. It includes Microsoft Word, which is a word processor, PowerPoint, which is a slide presentation software, and Microsoft Access, which is a database-ish software program. In this case, though, we will only be using Microsoft Excel, which is a spreadsheet program. Now that we have Microsoft Excel, let's open it. When we first start Excel, the first thing we see is a screen that allows us to create a new file or open an existing file. Excel will also list recent files that you have opened or ones that you have decided to pin. We'll open a new file for now and click on a blank workbook. As you can see here, Excel is a spreadsheet program, which means that it is effectively a grid composed of a series of columns and rows. Each column is named alphabetically, A, B, C, and so on. An entire column or columns can be selected by pressing on the column headers. Each row is named numerically, 1, 2, 3, and so on. An entire row or rows can be selected by pressing on the row header. At the intersection of each row and column lies a cell. Every cell has an alphanumeric name. So cell A1 would be at the intersection of column A and row 1, so the top left cell of the spreadsheet. There is always one and only one active cell in a worksheet. Right now, that cell is C5, which you can see as it is highlighted in green with a white background and appears in the active cell name area. While there can be only one active cell, it is possible to highlight and modify a collection of cells called a cell range. A cell range is defined by its upper value followed by a colon and then its lower value. Here we have a vertical cell range that begins at C5, the active cell, and ends at C14. We can identify this range as C5 colon C14. Cell ranges can be vertical, like the one we just went over, horizontal, such as this, C5 to G5, or rectangular, C5 to H14. At the top of the worksheet, you will see a series of tabs, such as File, Home, and Insert. Yours may or may not have all the same components as mine, but the concept here is the same across all Excel packages. Clicking on the tab will reveal its associated ribbon, which includes the relevant command buttons grouped according to related functions. For example, in the Home tab, the Paste command button is grouped together with the Cut command button, the Copy command button, and the Format Painter command button. At the bottom of the worksheet, you will see a tab with a worksheet name. The default name of the worksheet is Sheet 1. You can add a worksheet by pressing the small plus icon next to the Worksheet tab. You can delete a worksheet by right-clicking on it and choosing the Delete on the menu. You can rename a worksheet by right-clicking on it and choosing Rename, or by simply double-clicking it and typing in a new name. The collection of worksheets in a file is called a workbook. In fact, a workbook is just a fancy name for an Excel file. In our example here, our workbook is called Book 1, which is the default name. Okay, that's a decent place to zoom back in and figure out what you can actually do in Excel. Back to the individual cell. Each cell has a capacity to store a formula or a value, such as a static number or a string, typically a static word. While we'll go into formulas in greater depth in a few minutes, let's quickly take a look at how to perform basic mathematical operations in Excel. Here we see the results of fictional experiments. If we wanted to add the scores of the first 3 experiments, we could go to any empty cell, for example here, which is D15. We would press the equal sign. A formula or a calculation always starts with an equal sign in Excel. Then we could type in the coordinates of each cell. Remember that all cells are alphanumeric, so it would be D5, you can see it's highlighted, plus D6, plus D7. We would press enter, and the result of the operation would appear, 133. Alternatively, you could also write the equal signs and click on the cells that you wanted. So click on D5, add the plus sign, click on D6, add the plus sign, and click on D7, and press enter. Same result. By putting the active cell on the cell with the results, you'll see the formula you wrote in the formula bar. If it's a static number, such as here, or a string, you'll see that in the formula bar. If it's a formula, however, you won't see the result, but rather the actual formula that created that result. You can also double-click on the results cell, and it will show the formula with the colored highlights. Now, if you click on the formula bar, the coordinates will match the colored highlights. So we added up a few cells by using the plus sign, but we can also use other operators to perform mathematical calculations. We can use the minus sign to subtract cells or to create a negative number, the asterisk to multiply cells, the forward slash to divide cells, and a caret sign to use as an exponent. So these operators can work well if you have a small data set. But what if you had hundreds or even thousands of entries? Clicking each cell would be very time consuming. And what if you wanted to do something a little fancier than just basic arithmetic? That's where formulas come in. There are a lot of formulas. Some are simple and others are more complex. You can also nest formulas, which means creating a formula containing a bunch of formulas within it. But here we'll take a look at some basic Excel formulas that all have the same structure. As with all Excel formulas, they all start with an equal sign. The equal sign is followed by the name of the formula, which we'll go over shortly. Please note that although the function name is in capital letters, formula text is case insensitive. Excel will automatically reformat the text in capital letters. The cell, range of cells, or multiple cell ranges, which are encapsulated by parentheses. Again, this entry is also case insensitive. So that's the basic outline. Let's take a look at a few functions. First, let's delete this. Okay, here we go. The sum function calculates the addition of a range or ranges of cells. In our example, to calculate the sum or total of all the cells in the range, we would find an empty cell and type in our formula. So remember, equal sign, followed by the name of the formula, which is sum. You can see that it auto-populates. We'll use the first option. Open parentheses. This lets Excel know that we're ready to ingest the data. Then we just highlight, in this case, the cell range that we're interested in calculating. Close a parentheses and press enter. The cell now produces the answer, which is 345. Maybe we'll just put a little tag here to let people know what this is all about. So this would be the total. The count function calculates the number of numeric values within a range or ranges of cells. In our example, to calculate the count of all the cells in the range, we would find an empty cell and type in the formula. Again, equal sign, the name of the formula, which is count. Again, there's a whole bunch of different options, but we'll take the first one. Open the parentheses. It tells you what it wants you to ingest. See, it says value, value 2, etc., etc. We'll just do a cell range here, and then we'll close a parentheses, press enter. That makes a lot of sense. There are 10 experiments, and the count is 10. Here we'll put number of observations. Note that doing a count on the string side would produce a 0 result. Why is that? Remember, the count function only counts numerical data. Since this is a string, it doesn't find any numerical data. If we wanted to count the strings, we would have to slightly alter our formula to a count A formula, which then counts all non-blank values. This returns 10. Okay, we'll delete that for now. The average function calculates the average of a range or ranges of cells. And by average, I mean the mean. If we wanted to calculate the median or the mode, we would need another formula for that. In our example, to calculate the average of all the cells in a range, we would find an empty cell. Let's pick this one, D19, and type in our formula. So again, equal sign, the name of the formula, in this case it would be average, open the parentheses, highlight the data that you're interested in, close the parentheses, press enter. How about we put a little tag here? Great. The max function calculates the highest or biggest number in a range or ranges of cells. In our example, to calculate the maximal value of all the cells in a range, we would find an empty cell, go lower here, D20, and type in the formula. Equal sign, the name of the formula, which is max, open the parentheses, highlight data, close the parentheses. 81. And that looks pretty good. 81 seems to be the highest number. The counterpart to max is min, which calculates the lowest or smallest number in a range or ranges of cell. Again, we would find an empty cell. In this case, we'll take D21. Equal sign, the name of the function, which is min, M-I-N, open the parentheses, highlight the data, close the parentheses, press enter. 7. And that seems right. Min. Note that the formula bar explains exactly what formula was used to create the result. Also notice that by double-clicking on a results cell, the highlighted field will be seen, as well as the coordinates used. Okay, that's probably a good spot to stop for now. I hope that this was helpful and that you gained some knowledge and confidence to explore Excel on your own. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.